Hello my dear students, I hope you all are fit and fine. So in the previous video we have already studied that is various modes of reproduction. So this video is in continuation with the same chapter, but today we will study about tissue culture. So let's start. What is tissue culture? It is in vitro aseptic culture of cells, tissues, organs or whole plant under controlled nutritional and environmental conditions. Means we may develop large number of plants using tissue culture technique in a short time. But what are the conditions? That is, we have to develop the plant under aseptic conditions. Aseptic condition means the condition or the atmosphere present must be free of germs. And here the plants that will be developed in vitro. In vitro means under lab conditions. In a lab we will develop new plant. So it is in vitro aseptic culture of cells, tissues, organs or whole plant under nutritional and environmental conditions. We will grow and develop new plant using cell or tissue, right? But under aseptic conditions means condition should be free from germs, and the new plant is developed in vitro. Means in a lab we will develop the new plant. So before studying this tissue culture technique in detail, you must know some terms. First one is totipotency. What is this totipotency means? It is the ability of the cell to grow into a whole organism, that is referred to as totipotency. So what is totipotency? It is the ability of the cell to grow into a whole organism. Then the second term you should know, callus. What is callus? It is undifferentiated mass of cells, right? That is known as callus. Means group or mass of cells which is undifferentiated. Undifferentiated means it has not attained a specific function. It has not attained a specific role yet. So it is undifferentiated mass of cells. That is known as callus. Then the medium. Medium means we will develop the new plant using some medium, and that in the medium there must be presence of enzymes, hormones and control environment. Then is differentiation. Differentiation means when the callus recognize its role, then it is known as differentiation. Means the callus we have studied now, it is undifferentiated mass of cell. So the cells here, they do not have attained any role. So differentiation means when the callus it attains its specific role, that is it will develop into root and shoot. That is known as differentiation. So let us study what is this tissue culture technique here. In tissue culture technique, a small piece of tissue called explant is cut off from growing tip of plant. So the term you should know here, that explant. We will take explant. Now what do you mean by this explant? It is a small part of plant. It may be small part of plant. So that is referred to as explant. So from where we are taking this explant, it is cut off from the growing tip of the plant. Why we are taking this explant, that is small part of the plant, from the growing tip of plant? Because at the growing tip of plant we have studied in 7th class that there is the presence of meristematic cells. So meristematic cells are present at the growing tip of plant. The role of this meristematic cell is that they are continuously dividing. So that is why we will take this explant. Explant means a small piece of plant or a small piece of tissue that we will take from the growing tip of the plant, and then what we will do, it is kept in nutrient medium under aseptic condition. we have taken the explant, then we will transfer this explant, that is small piece of tissue, into nutrient medium, right? We have taken an explant, then I am repeating, we have taken an explant, then we will transfer this explant into nutrient medium, right? Into nutrient medium, but the condition must be here that it should be done under aseptic condition. Under aseptic condition means the whole process, that is process of transferring this explant into nutrient medium, must be done under aseptic conditions. Means it should be, the atmosphere there should be free from germs. Then its cells divide rapidly and form a mass of cell that is called callus. When this explant it is transferred to the nutrient medium, then in the nutrient medium this small piece of tissue, that is explant, it will grow and develop and it will form callus, right? Okay, what is callus? We have studied that it is undifferentiated mass of cells, right? Then this callus is formed. The callus is transferred to another nutrient medium containing plant hormones. Then this callus, it is again transferred to the another nutrient medium, and in this nutrient medium specific hormones such as vitamin A is also present, auxin is also present, and cytokinin is also present. Some hormones are also present. What is the need of this nutrient medium? It helps in the growth and development of plants, such as these auxins and cytokinins. They are growth regulators of plant. They help in the development of root and shoot of the plant. So they are basically the growth regulators. Then when this callus is transferred into the another nutrient medium in which specific hormones, vitamin, amino acids, auxins, cytokinins are present, then what will happen? This callus will differentiate. Now we have already studied now what is differentiation. Means when the callus is attaining a specific role. Now this callus will divide and it will form root and shoot, and then the root and shoot will develop, and finally it will develop into a plantlet. So let us see here, the callus is transferred to another nutrient medium containing plant hormones. The cells of callus in this nutrient medium divide and differentiate into root and shoot and form several new plantlets, and new plantlets will be formed, and these plantlets then will be transferred to the pot which is filled with soil, and that will develop into a plant. So this is the way how we can develop a new plant using only a small piece of tissue from a plant. So this is a tissue culture technique, and it is also referred to as micropropagation. So what we have studied in tissue culture, here we may develop a new plant under aseptic conditions, right, using only a small piece of tissue. So tissue culture is also known as micropropagation. Now we will study the next process, that is sexual method of development of plant. We have already studied the differences between asexual and sexual means of development of plant. Let us study this process in detail now. Here we know two parents are needed and there is the need of gametes. So it takes place by the formation of gametes, and two parents are needed in this process. Now before studying this process in detail, we must know the flower, that is the reproductive part of the plant. So we should know its detail. So first one is androecium. What is androecium? It is the male part of plant. So in flower, which is the male part? That is the androecium. This is the androecium. Androecium is also known as stamen. It is formed of two things, anther and filament. The upper portion is known as anther and this is known as filament. So androecium is known as male part of flower and it is formed of two things, that is filament and anther. Then it is containing the male gametes. So male gametes are formed in the androecium. Now we will study the female part, right? So female part of the flower is gynoecium, and gynoecium is containing the female gamete which is known as egg, right? It is formed in the ovule. So let us study before this what is ovule. We should know what is gynoecium. Gynoecium, it is consisting of stigma, that is the upper portion. Then it is long slender like structure, it is known as style, right? Then there is a ovary. So stigma, style and ovary, these three things, they are forming the gynoecium. And just as androecium is known as stamen, similarly gynoecium is known as with another term that is known as pistil. So pistil or gynoecium, it is formed of three things, that is stigma, style and ovary. The upper portion is known as stigma, then comes the style, then is the ovary, and inside the ovary there are ovules present, and female gamete, that is egg, is formed in ovule, right? So what we have studied now, that is male and female parts of flower. So male part is the androecium, which is consisting of two things, that is anther, the upper portion, and then is this filament, and they are also known as together as stamen. Then is the female part of flower, that is known as gynoecium. Gynoecium is also referred to as pistil, and it is consisting of three things, that is stigma, style and ovary. The upper portion, it is known as stigma, then is the style, then this is the ovary. And this stigma, it will receive the pollens, right, which will be formed inside the anther. So this anther, in this what are present, pollen grains are present, right? So which will be containing the male gamete, and this male gamete will be received by the stigma of the female part. Then fertilization will occur through the formation of the pollen tube, that we will study in the another video in detail. So let us just study here about androecium and gynoecium. Then there is a pedicel. Pedicel is the stalk of a flower, and the swollen or the terminal part of the pedicel is known as thalamus. Then comes the sepals. Sepals are the green leaf-like parts in a flower, and group of sepals is known as calyx. Then there are brightly colored petals, and group of petals, they are known as corolla. So what we have studied in this flower, we have studied first one is androecium, then we have studied gynoecium, then about pedicel, thalamus, sepals and petals. So this is about flower. Now let us study the process of development of plant through sexual means. Here it involves these steps, that is first one is pollination, then is fertilization, another is formation of seeds and fruits, then there will be dispersal of these seeds and fruits, and finally there will be seed germination, and after that there will be development of the plant, right? So let us study the first process, that is pollination, in detail. Pollination means the transfer of the pollen grains from the anthers to the stigma of pistil. We have studied now androecium. Androecium is also known as stamen. So in androecium we have studied there is a anther, right, and there is a filament. This is the anther and this is the filament. This is the stamen or androecium, which is the male part of flower. In anthers there are pollen grains present, so there are very minute structures, that is known as pollen grains, which are present in the anther. This will transfer towards the stigma of the female part. So let us assume this is a stigma, this is style, and this is ovary. Three of these are the gynoecium. Together they are known as gynoecium, which is the female part of flower. So pollination is the transfer of the anthers, that is transfer of pollen grains from the anthers to the stigma of pistil. So, and these pollen grains which are present in the anthers, they will transfer towards the stigma of gynosium, and this process is known as pollination, and it is the first step in the process of seed germination. There are two types of this pollination process. First is self-pollination, then is cross-pollination. The difference in this process we will study now. In self-pollination, the pollen grains of a flower fall on the stigma of the same flower or other flower on the same plant. One point you must know that self-pollination occurs in same plant, right? Let us say this is a plant and here is also a flower. This is one single plant. Here is one flower, this is second flower, but they are present on the same plant, right? If the transfer of the pollen grains will be in this flower only, right? This is the first possibility, right? The second possibility is this: the anthers from this flower, they may transfer to the, not the anthers, the pollen grains, they may transfer from the anthers from this flower to the next flower but of the same plant. Then this process is known as self-pollination. Then there is a cross-pollination. Here from one plant towards another plant the pollen grains may transfer, and this process is known as cross-pollination. Then the pollinating agents are not needed in this self-pollination process. However, the pollinating agents which will help in the pollination process, they are needed in the cross-pollination process. Here both the anthers and stigma, they mature at the same time, but the anthers and stigma of a flower, they mature at different times in bisexual flowers. And the offspring, that is the new plant that will develop after this self-pollination, they are having the same features, they are identical to the parents. However, in cross-pollinated plants, the offspring or the new individual, new plant that will develop through this have the mixed features of both male and female parents. And new varieties are not involved in cross-pollinated plants. However, variations are introduced since the two parents are involved. So these are some of the differences between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Now we will study about some terms. First one is bisexual flower. What is this bisexual flower? Means it is the flower in which there is presence of both male and female. This is a flower and here is androecium, here is gynosium. Both male and female parts are present in a single flower, that the flower will be referred to as bisexual flower. Then the unisexual flower is one in which either only stamen, that is male part, or the pistil, that is female part, may be present. Either stamen will be present or either pistil may be present. If stamen is present, then it is known as staminate flower, and if pistil is present, then it is known as pistillate flower, right? Staminate flowers are known as male flowers, pistillate flowers are known as female flowers. Let us study now the agents of pollination which will help in the pollination process. First one is insects, then wind, and then water. If the agent of pollination is insect, means the pollination is through insect, then it is referred to as entomophily. If the pollination is by wind, then it is referred to as anemophily, and if the pollination is by water, it is referred to as hydrophily. Let us study some of the features of the flowers which are pollinated by insects. Those flowers, they are having a bright color, they are having a sweet nectar and scent also, and sticky stigma, and they are having the sticky pollen grains. These are some of the features of the flowers which are pollinated by insects. Then there are some of the features of flowers which are pollinated by water. Their flowers are small, they are light for floating, right? Why they are small and light? It will help them in floating. and male and female flowers, they are present on separate plants. Male flower, it will detach from the male plant and it will float towards the female flower on the female plant, and then the pollination process will take place. The pollen grains here are produced in large number in those flowers which are pollinated by water. So the next thing is pollination by wind. Pollination by wind. Here the flowers are small and dull and they do not produce nectar. Since nectar is only used to attract the insects, so insects are not involved here. The flowers, they are small and dull. And small, light and dry pollen grains are produced in large number, and the stigma is also feathery to catch the pollen grain. So these are the features of the flowers in which pollination takes place by wind. Let us study now another process, that is artificial pollination. What is this artificial pollination? It is a technique where only desired pollen grains, they are used for pollination and fertilization. Means the pollen grains, they are taken from a plant which is having the desirable properties. Desirable properties such as the plant may be resistant from disease, right? The plant may mature early and the plant is free from disease, and from that plant we are taking the pollen grains. So artificial pollination is a technique where only desired pollen grains are used for pollination and fertilization. So here are some steps of this process. First one is selection. The plant with desired characters, first thing is we will select the plant which is having the desired characters, right? Let us say this is the plant. Let it number it as 1. In this, it is having the desired characters, and we will take pollen grains from this plant, and therefore we will refer to it as male parent. Then emasculation. Emasculation means the stamens are removed from bisexual flower of female parent. What does this mean? Let us say this is another plant and let it number as number 2nd. In this plant, the flowers, they are having the both androecium as well as gynoecium, means it is a bisexual flower. So what we have to do in artificial pollination, we have to transfer the desired pollen grains from one plant, to the another plant. Therefore what we will do the process, that is emasculation. Emasculation means from the second plant we will remove the androecium. Means what will be left only here? Only the female part, that is gynoecium, will be left here. Therefore this second plant is referred to as female parent. And this process of removal of stamen is known as emasculation. Then after this removal of androecium, now we are having the male parent and female parent. Then from the male parent we will transfer the pollen grains towards the female parent, and this is known as pollination, which is our 3rd step. Then bagging, 4th step. Bagging means the pollinated flowers, they are covered with polythene bags to avoid the pollination from any other source. And after pollination and fertilization, the seeds which will develop through this technique, they are referred to as hybrid seeds, and the plant that will develop from this hybrid seed, they are referred to as hybrid plants. So this is the process of artificial pollination. There are some changes in flowers after fertilization. So what are these changes? First one is fertilized ovum, that is zygote, it will grow and develop into embryo, and the ovule, it will change to seed, ovary will change to fruit, and the sepals and petals, they will fall off. So that's all for today. Take care.